Hi, we're Pat and Diana from To Ride the Globe. We are currently traveling around the world on a 710 array 2-up, and we've been through 26 countries and about 38,000 miles so far.
People often ask us what we carry for a trip like this. While we've been traveling, we've met people who are surprised that we are able to carry everything we need for the both of us on one bike when they themselves are alone and have just as much or even more.
And people are curious about our camping gear setup. So let's get started by taking a look at the bike and where everything's located. The large yellow bag on the back contains all of our camping and cooking equipment. Under this bag is a 1-gallon Rotopax container for water, for cooking and washing if we're camped somewhere that water isn't available. The green bag on top of the left pannier contains food items such as pasta, bread, oatmeal, instant soups, and condiments. And the blue bag on the other pannier is mostly a catch-all for things that don't fit elsewhere. It was kind of an afterthought. We originally didn't even intend to take it, but we kind of ran out of room for other things, so we had the bag and we decided to put it on there. We carry larger food items like milk and lubes for the bike, WD-40, chain lube, that type of thing, as well as mosquito repellent. My shoes, because they don't fit in my pannier, and some other small things that don't fit elsewhere go in there. And the same with the tank bag. The tank bag is kind of a catch-all, but we use it for things that we need quick access to. Charger cords for our phones, the tracking device that we use to enable people to see where we are while we're traveling, as well as just small things like a tire pressure gauge and the cover, rain cover for the tank bag, those kind of things. Attached to the front of the skid plate is a locking box, and there's a tool roll in there, and that carries most of our basic hand tools. In the small bag on the left guard on the front here, we carry our coffee supplies. We used to carry a French press and a coffee grinder here, but this year we switched to instant coffee. We just decided it was too much work, and we've kind of gotten used to the taste of the instant coffee. It works out okay. In fact, a couple that we met in Alaska last year kind of convinced us to try it, and we decided to do the trade-off. The identical bag on the opposite side, on the right side of the motorcycle, carries spare inner tubes for the tires as well as a hand pump. We carry an air compressor as well, 12-volt air compressor that plugs into the bike, and that sits in a box underneath the pannier. So under the right pannier here you can see there's a separate tray, and that carries our air compressor and some other small tools. The identical box underneath the left pannier carries larger hand tools, things that won't fit in the toolbox on the skid plate. So it keeps heavier items down low. On the back of the panniers, on the left one, we carry a 1-gallon fuel can for spare gas because the tank on the Tenere is relatively small, although we've never had a problem so far. We only had to use it on the Dalton Highway going to Prudhoe Bay in Alaska last year so far. And then on the right pannier on the back, we carry water bottles, which are just for quick drinks. If we're traveling and decide to stop for fuel and stop for a snack, something like that, we'll use the bottles. The right pannier is mine, has the muffler cut out, so it's a little bit smaller, and the left pannier is Diana's. Diana, you want to explain what's in your pannier?
Sure. Inside my pannier, I have my clothing cubes. I have one for winter clothing, one for summer clothing. I have my toiletry bag, my tennis shoes, and my flip-flops. And I also carry a compression sack that the cover for the bike goes in. We cover it either when we're camping or have to leave it somewhere. Also in the very bottom of the pannier are 2 grocery bags that, in case we go to the market, they are the exact dimensions of the inside of both panniers, so we know if we go shopping we can buy no more than what fits in those bags. We really had to learn to cut back when we're eating on what we can and can't have.
Okay, in my pannier, it's basically my clothes, same kind of setup. I have compressible cubes. One has my winter gear in it, the other one has my summer gear. and as well as our electronics, the laptop, iPads, all of that fits in my pannier. Some basic toiletries, and in the bottom of the pannier we have a first aid kit and another small tool pack, as well as a few spare parts. So let's take a look at what's in that big yellow bag on the back while Diana unpacks it. So just a quick walk around of what we've got in the yellow bag here. I'm going to start down here in the bottom corner. We've got two mugs, our drinking mugs. Inside this mug, Diana, you want to take that out? Believe it or not, inside this mug, that is our stove, our cooking stove, and the striker for the stove. So there's the stove, and that fits on a gas canister that sits inside our pot here. This pot has inside it, it's a cooking pot with a handle, but it also has 4 bowls inside it, as well as our gas canister for our stove and lids for the bowls as well. And then over here we have, this is a collapsible sink that we can use to wash dishes. These are both footprints for the tent, and you'll see how that works. We actually use 2 different footprints. They're the same basically, but we use them a little differently than you would expect. We have a sponge for washing up the dishes. We have a very small knapsack that we use if we need to go do laundry or whatever. We can carry stuff in that, or if we're going hiking, we can carry water and granola bars and that type of thing in there. We also have a dish rag that we use for drying the dishes, as well as this small thing here is a mosquito net that goes over your head. We haven't had to use it yet, thankfully. In this bag is Diana's pillow. It's inflatable. And in the green bag is my pillow. Mine's a lot larger. It didn't turn out that way, or wasn't intended, but it turned out that way just because my small one like hers failed. We had to get another one, and those weren't available at the time. So this is the poles and stakes for the tent. Next to that we have 2 chairs. Those are folding chairs, collapsible chairs. We'll put those up as well. We carry a nylon hammer. That hammer is basically to drive stakes for the tent, but we can also use it if we're doing some type of maintenance on the bike, like having to tap the axle out if it's stuck or whatever. In the blue bag we have 2 sleeping bags, 2 sleeping bag liners, mummy liners that are called Cocoons. It's a brand name, as well as pillowcases for our inflatable pillows. We've got 2 plates to eat off of and a spatula. In the green bag is the tent, the rain fly for the tent, as well as a gear shed, and you'll see how the gear shed works also when we set the tent up. And then here we have our 2 air mattresses, and there's 3 towels here. These 3 towels, one mine, one Diana's, and one that we use just for random stuff. And then we have 2 lights in the back. This is an inflatable light, and the other one is a collapsible light, and both of these are solar powered. We use those, one inside the tent and one sometimes on the table at night if we're playing cards or eating late or whatever the case may be. So here's the finished product. This is our tent with the rain fly and the gear shed, our 2 chairs set up. In the gear shed, we keep the bags, our helmets, our jackets, our boots. And as you can see, we talked about using the 2 different footprints for the tent. We have a footprint under the tent itself, and then we have a footprint under everything going the opposite direction, which gives us some clean space outside, kind of like a doormat, so we can put our shoes out here and not have to track mud and dirt and things right in. And then inside the tent, we have both our sleeping pads, mattresses, the sleeping bags. The blue things are liners for the sleeping bags, inflatable pillows. We take our riding pants and fold them in half and tuck them under the head of the air mattresses, and that gives us a little bit of elevation for our head so we can lay in bed and read. And then we each have our own entrance and exit. Diana typically sleeps on this side with the gear shed, and I'm on the other side. I have a vestibule. I can keep my shoes out of the rain as well. And we've got our collapsible light in here. There are mesh pockets on the end for putting our phones, iPads, laptop, whatever, while we're laying in the tent, reading, working. And so here's our cooking setup, dining setup. We've got 2 plates, utensils. I'm a little overboard maybe, and I got titanium utensils, which have lasted through my first trip in 2015-16 and all the way to today, and they work great. They're also very lightweight, so easy to pack and carry. The bowls, as I said, there's 4 bowls that fit inside the pot when we're not using them, as well as the gas canister for the stove fits inside the bowls, inside the pot, so it takes up less space. And we also have a pan that we carry with us, as well as 2 mugs, and the inflatable light, solar-powered light as well. In some countries, we camp less and eat out more.
Everyone has their own way of doing things. This is what we found works best for us.
After 2 years of traveling 2 up on the Tenere, we've whittled it down to the things that keep us comfortable on the road, as well as a few things that keep us entertained and happy.
We hope this video has answered some of your questions about how we pack for a long trip. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the road, because
If not now, when?